Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here. I see we have some um, new ones this week that I didn't see last week. So, okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
We're good there? Okay, wonderful. All right, so you should have received a handout that has just some screenshots on it, kind of more of just a follow along. You can take some notes on it if you want or something to look back on. But so today what we're going to do is build on what we learned last week. So last week it was the receivable side, and this week we're going to do the payable side. So we're going to go over how to enter bills, write checks, enter expenses, how to set up a loan and loan payments, and then credit card payments. And then when we're all done, we're going to pull it all together and go over our financials and how we read them and how they help us in a business figure out what we need to do, and also helps us to make sure that we are keeping our books correctly, because then it all flows to those financials in the end. So we're going to start with paying bills. And so like we talked about last week, this is our dashboard. This is where you will land every time you open up your QuickBooks Online. And there's always a couple of different ways that you can get to different transactions. So this is the new dashboard if not everybody has it yet. But right here is like the daily things that you can do, and you can click on one of these. So if you wanted to pay a bill or add a bill, those are right here. If you don't have the new dashboard, you still have the old one, then we can always use the new button because both of them have that. So if we go ahead and click on new, under vendors, this is where we're going to be spending this hour, is under our vendors. And we're going to start out by entering a bill. Okay, so we would just go down to bill and open that up. Now, the reasons that you might want to enter bills is if you want to put them in to pay them later, then you can keep track of how much money you owe, as opposed to just writing checks as you receive them. Okay, the most important thing about the bills is that if you enter bills, then when you go to pay for it, you want to make sure that you connect the two, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to start out by putting in a Verizon bill. So say you have a Verizon bill, it comes, we put in our vendor. Now, if it's a new vendor, okay, then like we talked about last week, we have this add button. You can add a vendor right in this transaction. But we already have Verizon set up here, so we're going to go ahead with them. It'll automatically put in however you have it set up. So terms 15 days. So let's say our bill date was the end of October or November, and then so we'll automatically put the due date 15 days ahead. Okay, and then if you have a bill number or an invoice number, then we can put that in. And then we want to put it to a category. And so like we talked about last week, these categories come from our chart of accounts, and this is telling the system where you want that expense to go. So we are going to put it to telephone expense. And if you use your down arrow, you can see that it is an expense account. Okay. We can put a description in it. We can say, okay, this was the November bill. Okay. And then put the amount. Now, if you have the bill, like if you emailed it or if you want to upload a picture of it, you can actually attach it right here. Okay, and that's nice. So if later on, especially if it's an oddball bill and you're like, where did that come from, or why did I put that in there, then you could click on the attachment and you could see the bill. It would be right there for you. So that option is there for you to be able to attach the actual picture of your bill into QuickBooks. So that's very nice. So once we put this information in here, I need to move this box. Okay, we can go ahead and save. Okay, now Verizon, that's a bill that I'm going to pay every single month, no matter what. So one of the things that we can do is we can make this reoccurring. So down here at the bottom, it has this make reoccurring. So if I press on that button, then what it's going to do is set it up so that it will pop into my system every month, and I don't have to manually enter it every month. So I'm going to say we tell it what we want the template name to be, and I normally just name it whoever the vendor is for the bill. And it's scheduled, which means that it will pop up every time that you tell it to. Now, there's a couple options. You can just put a reminder if it's something you just want to be reminded of, and so it won't actually post it. It will just send you a message. Or you can also make the bills unscheduled. So say you have a bill that it comes periodically, it's not every month or every week, but you might have to keep going back to it. And so instead of having to type it in every time, you can use the unscheduled, and then you can just go find it. And I'll show you where to find it in a little bit. You can go find it and pull it up and just like change the amounts or change the dates, but then all the information is already set in there. So it keeps you from having to do so much manual data entry. So this one, because we know it's going to be every month, we're going to do scheduled. And I like my bills to show up a little bit early. So I'm going to tell it that I want it to show up 5 days before the due date. Okay. It's monthly. And I want it to come in on the 1st of every month. So because I told it I want to see it 5 days before, it's going to come into the system 5 days prior to the 1st of the month. Okay, so that I know it's coming. And it's every 1 month. Okay. And then because I just put the bill in for November, my next bill then will be, actually that was for December 1st, will be January. So I'm going to put January in there, and I'm not going to put an end date, but you can. Okay, and so then it automatically fills in that it'll be telephone expense. I'll get rid of this because it's not going to be the November bill every time, right? And just have the amount. And so now it will populate every month. It'll already be in there, and so I don't have to manually enter it anymore. Okay, now if the amount changes, then I can just click on it and change the amount. But this makes it so that, again, we're not having to do all that manual entry. Do any of you have any questions about recurring bills or how to set this up? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save that template. And I already have one in there. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you put those recurring payments in there or bills in there and you want to see them and get a list of them, we go up to our gear icon, and under lists has our recurring transactions. Okay, so this is where you would find any ones that you have set up. If you want to change them, edit them, use them, if you use the unscheduled, this is where you would find them.
Right.
Okay, so gear icon under lists and recurring transactions. Okay, any questions there? All right, so when we're ready to pay our bills, okay, we can use this icon here, or again, we can go under our new and pay bills. And everything that we have put in will pop up here. The little red mark says you're past due, you need to pay this, okay? Otherwise, it puts it in due date order, okay? So if we want to pay a couple of them, we can click which ones we want to pay. We want to make sure our payment account is correct, okay? So are we using our checking account? Are we using our credit card account? We want to make sure that that's going to the correct place that we want it to be. We put our payment due date in, and then whatever check number that you're starting with, okay? Or if you want to print them later, just have them in the queue, you can check that as well. Okay, so it'll tell you how much you're paying in total. It gives you what your check balance, your checking account balance is, and then what it will be after you pay the bills. So that's kind of nice if you're working with a tight budget and you need to decide what bills you can pay or can't pay. This tells you where you will be at once these are posted to your account. Okay. Now, something new that QuickBooks Online just came up with this schedule payments online, and they will pay your bills for you in a sense, but that's an added fee. So what happens is that it's kind of like just going into your bank accounts where they have the ACH options and things like that. QuickBooks now built it in, so you can do that if you want, but there is a fee to that. So usually I just save and print my checks. Okay, so it brings us to our print screen. I want to print both checks, make sure my starting check number is correct. Preview and print, and it prints them off. Okay, as easy as that. Any questions on printing checks or paying bills? Okay, once you, when you print them, you don't want to click off this screen until you see that they have come out correctly, because I don't know how many times I've accidentally put the checks in upside down, or you forget to put the checks in and they come out on blank paper. You want to make sure that the checks come out correctly before you click done, because once you click done, then you lose the checks out of this print queue. Okay, so if you printed them and something is wrong, you want to reprint them again, then you can say no, keep these checks here, and then they're all there. Otherwise, you have to go find them one at a time and print them. Okay, so it is important that you wait and make sure they print the way you want them, and then go ahead and click done. Okay. Okay, so what if you have expenses that, like our debit card, we use our debit cards all the time, right? Or our credit card. So to do that, we can go to our new, and under vendor, we use the expense option. Okay, so this just means we're not going to attach a check number, so we don't need to use check, we just use expense. Okay, so
Friday.
Was that a question? Sorry. No? Okay. Okay, so let's say we have an expense for, we went to Walmart and we purchased some office supplies. Okay, so we click on Walmart, and let's say this time we use our credit card. Okay, so we want to make sure whatever payment method we're using, we have the correct one there. Let's say our payment date was the 10th. Payment method was our credit card. And then you can use a reference number, but more often than not, you don't have a reference number for debit card and credit card transactions. And then it automatically is going to put it to office supplies and software, because that's what it put it to the last time that I used it. So you want to make sure this is putting it to the category that you're wanting it at. Okay, and maybe I purchased printer ink. And again, there's the attachment option down here, so you can attach the receipt, so you can go back and find it. Okay, and then if you lose your receipts, you get rid of them. It doesn't matter because you have a virtual picture. Okay, and let's say that was $150. Okay, now if you purchase anything for a customer that you'll want to put on their invoice later, you can click this billable check mark and then tell it what customer that you want it to be billed to. So let's say this was for a big project for Amy Jones, and so next time I do her invoice, when I go to do an invoice for her, it will pop up that, hey, do you want to add this expense with it? Okay, and then I'll go ahead and push save and close. Any questions on expenses? Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to go to, let's see, is setting up a loan. Okay. So when we have loan payments, we want to make sure that it is going against your loan and not being expense, because we cannot claim loan payments as expenses for a business. Okay. Just like we don't claim the loan income as income. We don't claim the loan amount as income. So to do that, we're going to go to our, we can go to our chart of accounts, or we can do a journal entry. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. If you go to new and under other, it's called journal entry. Okay. Pick the date that you received the loan. So let's say our loan started on 12/1. Okay. And let's say that we purchased a computer. Okay. So we want to book the computer as an asset, right? Because it's going to be, let's say this was an Apple computer, so it's going to be $2,500. So we want that as an asset. And then we want to book the loan amount so that we know that that's something that we owe. Okay, so we are going to put computer, and we don't have a computer asset in here, so we're going to add it. Okay, and so then it pops up our account like we talked about last week, where we get to choose where we put it. So a computer being an asset, that's our account type. So we're going to come in here, we're going to say, okay, this is a fixed asset. Okay. And we are going to put it under, let's say, machinery and equipment. Okay. And then we're going to name it computer. Okay. So now it's on our asset list that we own it. And said it was $2,500. I'm going to say it was an Apple computer. And we're getting a loan for it, okay? From Apple. Apple is giving us a discount if we sign up for their Apple card, and so we're going to get a loan and pay it off little by little. So we need to make a loan account. So we're going to say loan computer, and you can name it whatever you want, accounts payable. I like to put what the loan was for next to it, because then, especially if you have multiple ones, then it's easier to find and know exactly what that loan was for just at a quick glance. So we're going to add this loan, and a loan is a liability account, okay, because it's money that we owe. So the account type is long-term liabilities, because we get 2 years to pay this off, so it's a long-term liability. It's a notes payable, and then I'm going to name it loan computer. Okay, so we'll go save and close, and we'll credit that, and that's all you do to put the loan on your books. You can also, right here, if you want to attach your loan documents, you can do that, or your receipt. Okay, so any questions on how to book a loan? So what we did is we put the asset, the computer as an asset, and we put the loan on the books. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, so we'll save and close that. So now if we go to make a loan payment, okay, we're going to make a payment on that loan. We will go ahead and we can go new and expense, because it's going to come, they're going to take it directly out of our account. And the payee would be Apple, okay, Apple computers. And we can add them here. Okay. And we can put more details in there if we want, or we can just have it just as Apple. It's up to you. And it is coming out of our checking account, so we want to make sure that we change the payment account to the account that the money's actually coming out of. Payment date is going to be the 15th. And we're going to pay with an EFT, okay, which isn't on here. So I'm going to say EFT, and I'm going to add that, because there's lots of times that you just do electronic funds transfers. Okay. All right. So then the category that this payment is going to go to then has to be the loan, right? Because we're paying off the loan. So our category will be loan computer. Okay. $50. Now, because this is a payment that you'll be making every month and it's going to come out by itself every single month, then we should make this a recurring transaction so that we don't have to go in here and put it in every time, right? So we can go ahead and click save. Okay, so that saves that payment for $12.15. And then we click make reoccurring, and we can have it pop up every month by itself, so we don't have to do it. Okay, so again, you can put it if you want it to pop in sooner. I want it to pop in 5 days before it comes out. We're going to put it on our checking account every month, due on the 1st. We already put that payment in for December, so we're going to move this, the reoccurring, it'll start up in January, and it's all set to go. Okay, and so there, you will never have to put that payment in again. It will automatically do it for you. Any questions on loan payments?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you come to the end of your payments or for your computer, does it notify you or somehow, like you got it paid off?
Nope, it doesn't.
Okay.
And so you should be watching your financial statements. And so then when it starts going in the negative, then you know that you've gone too far, or more than likely you'll know that you've paid it off. So what you would do is go into your gear icon and then into your reoccurring transactions and just stop the payment. Okay. So you would just delete that out of there. Okay. Or if you know it's going to be so many payments. Okay. So let's see, that was the Apple one. So if you know it's going to be 24 payments, okay, then we can change it and say, okay, my last payment is going to be on December, it'll be November 30th of 2022. And so then it will stop for you.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can absolutely set it up that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Didn't you mean to put that in the end date column?
Yes. Yep. So if you only want it to go so many times, then you need to put an end that, yes, we want it to end by or after. So we want it to end. Oh, sorry, I reversed that. So we started December and we want to end by. There you go. Okay, so it'll only do it for those months and then it'll stop by itself.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, good question. Okay, any other questions on loans? That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people making those loan payments as expenses. And so what that does is it makes it look like you have less income than what you really have. And so then when it comes tax time, people think that they're going to have a lower tax liability, and they don't, because you can't include those loan payments as expenses. So it's really important to get those set up correctly on your books. Okay. We use credit cards a lot, so we are able to set up a credit card account. So if we go into our chart of accounts, okay, we can set up a new credit card, our new button, and the account type then would be credit card. And we're going to call this one okay, and save and close. So it's as easy as that as far as setting up a credit card account. Okay. Now there's a couple things that you can do. You can manually enter all of your expenses just like we've already done. You just choose the credit card as your payment type. Okay. Or you can pull the transactions in. So your bank accounts and your credit card accounts, if you have login access to online banking for credit cards or bank accounts, you can connect them. And so QuickBooks will go out and it will pull those transactions every day for you. And so then you're not having to manually enter them every single time. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example here on our checking account. So let's go to checking account. And above your checking account, you can do, it has these little, looks like a little bank. You can edit these and you can edit account information. And there's a wizard that will walk you through the steps to entering your login information so it connects to your bank. Okay. And we're not going to do that obviously because it's personal information, but that's how you would do that. If you want to do that and you have any questions and need some help, please contact me. I'd be more than happy to help walk you through it, but it is a pretty self-explanatory wizard. So what happens is that QuickBooks pulls the transactions in and it looks like this, okay? And these are, I call it an interim account. And so QuickBooks has pulled the transactions in and they're sitting right here in this account. I'll show you how I got there again. So here's your dashboard. And I just clicked into my checking account that I want to look at. Here's our interim account. And what QuickBooks needs you to do is tell the system where you want all these to be, okay? And it's artificial learning. And so once you've done it once or twice, it will memorize where you put certain things and it will fill in the categories for you. Now it's not always correct, so you have to look at it and make sure that it's putting it where you want it to be. So for instance, Casey's right here. Maybe I want a car and truck, or maybe I ran in and got a snack. And so maybe it needs to be like owner's draw because it was just a quick snack that I got, or something different. But we always want to make sure that it is putting it where we want it to be, okay? So we can open it up by just clicking on it, and then we can put in like the vendor, because normally it doesn't put the payee in for you. And you want that payee in there most of the time. So we're going to click in here and we're going to go, okay, this is Casey's. And we don't have a Casey's. So it's going to want me to add it. So I'm going to quickly add. Okay. And let's say I want it to go to owner's personal expenses instead. Okay, you can change the category here. You can also add a customer or project if it's billable, just like we did with the expenses. Okay, same exact step. And then down here in the memo, it's going to put what the bank brought in. So you know your bank, when you get your bank statement or you look online, it always has a description. That's what's going to automatically pull into your memo. Okay. And then if that is all the information is correct, then you can go ahead and click add. Okay. Now, once your computer starts to learn where things go, if you look at them and yep, that's all good and exactly where you want those things to be, then you can actually put several in at once. So we're going to click these because that's where I want that to be. And we can click accept. Okay. And what that is doing is pulling them out of this interim account and posting them to your register. So now they're going to be in your check register. Okay. Now, if we've already put in some expenses, or if we've written checks, or we've put our deposits in, it will match it. So what this is saying here, where it says match, it's saying, okay, there was a bank deposit for $208 and you already have a deposit on that date for $208 in your register. It wants to match it. Okay, so if you were here last week, this is the deposit that we made last week. We're like, yep, we want to match that. Now, QuickBooks is looking for the amount. And so if you have multiple expenses or multiple deposits that have the same amount, it may not match it correctly. So you want to make sure that, you know, open it up and look at it and make sure that it is matching correctly the deposit that you want. Okay. If it is not, then you would click categorize and you would tell it where you wanted it to go. And so then it would not match up with that amount that it found. Okay, so that's important there. Any questions on the matching? Okay.
Marcy, I don't have a question on the matching, but as I'm sitting here listening to this and thinking about it, is this set up so that one person runs the QuickBooks online and handles it all from one location? Or can it be that like the manager has access to it, but the office help is the one that runs it in a different location.
Yep, absolutely. So that's the nice thing about the QuickBooks Online versus desktop is that 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, for as many users as you buy the subscription for. So like this subscription, I think you can have 3 accountants and 5 users. And then if you pay more, you can have more users. But it allows you to have your own individual logins, okay, so that you can run a report to find out who did what if you need that. It's a good checks and balances. But it also allows you to give your workers different access. So say you didn't want your workers to be able to see your checking account, but you wanted them to be able to put invoices in. You can change those. And when we're done with this, I'll remind me if I don't remember. We'll go in and I'll show you how to put different users in. And so, yeah, as soon as you save something, as soon as it refreshes the screen, then somebody that is sitting 2 states away from you will see the exact same thing. So yeah, multiple people can be in it working at the same time, and it makes the workings very very easy to use. So
Okay, thank you.
yep, absolutely. Okay, here is our credit card payment. Okay, this says here Capital One made a credit card payment for $2,200. So what we can do is open that up because we want to transfer that from our checking account and put it towards our credit card. And then we only have to make this one transaction. I don't have to go enter it there. So we can go ahead and record as a transfer. And I'm going to transfer it to my Capital One account. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click transfer. And so now it's in my checking account and it shows a payment in my credit card account. Okay. Okay. Here is our loan payments. Okay. Now it is saying that it's interest paid. Okay. Now that might not be true. It might be saying that QuickBooks put this in here because last time we had a loan payment, it was interest. But this time it might not be interest. It might be actually a loan payment. So there again, QuickBooks is super smart, but we still have to use our knowledge and look at it and make sure it's going where it needs to go. So I don't want this to go to interest paid. I want it to go to the actual loan payment. And so I want to change this to my equipment loan. Okay. So there again, we just have to be cognizant of, is it putting it where we want it to go? Okay. Now let's see. Okay, if we find one that we want to split up, okay, we can use the split button. And if you click that, then you can put it to several categories. So maybe we want part of it to go to meals and entertainment. Let's say we want $5 to go to meals and entertainment, but we want the rest of it to go to owner's draw, okay, or personal expenses, however you have it labeled in your system. Then we can put the difference here. Okay, so that's super helpful to be able to split them out there. Okay, so we'll just go finish these up. This is a transfer. Again, just look at it, make sure it's where you want it to be. If everything is good, we can check them all and we can accept them. Now, if there's ever anything in here that doesn't match exactly, when you make deposits, and we talked about this last week, but I'll just quickly review. When you make deposits, if you make them one at a time and go straight to your checking account, but yet you actually physically make the deposit for, say, 5 checks, then when QuickBooks pulls it in, it'll show a deposit of the total, but it won't match because you put them in individually. Okay, so you may not want to use that deposit that the bank pulled in because you know that it's actually the 5 checks that are sitting in your register. And in that case, you can exclude it. You don't have to use these. Okay, this is just trying to help you so you don't have to manually enter stuff, but you don't necessarily have to use any of the stuff that the bank brings over. Okay, so if you, in that case, didn't want to use it, you could hit exclude and it would just pull it out of here and you wouldn't have to worry about it. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and accept these. Now, if you put something to the same place 2 times in a row, QuickBooks is going to say, oh, you're doing this a lot. Do you want to make a rule and we'll do it for you? So this is saying, okay, we noticed that Casey's, that you're using it a lot and you're always putting it to owner's pay and personal expense. Do you want us to automatically do that? If I do, then I can say yes, and we can do an auto add, which means it won't even show up in our interim. As soon as QuickBooks pulls it in, it'll go directly to our checking account. Okay. Those are really handy on like Verizon bills and utilities and things like that, where you know every time it comes in, it's going to be utilities. It's going to be categorized the same every time. And again, that will save you on your manually entering. Okay. So if you have this auto add, it will do it for you. It'll go straight into your checking account. Okay. So I'm going to say, yep, we'll create that rule and then I won't have to touch it anymore. Okay. Any questions on this particular segment? Okay. So once this is all cleared out, I'm going to go click here to the go to bank register. Okay, and so this is my check register and this is where all my income and expenses are at. Okay, from here, I can go ahead and I can reconcile. So say it's the end of the month, I want to reconcile and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. I would suggest that at minimum you reconcile every month. Print off your bank statement and make sure that you reconcile it so that you know that you have everything in your books that is going out. That helps catch mistakes. It helps catch fraud if you have any fraud in your accounts. It's just a good habit to get into. Okay, so it tells us when we go to this reconciling, we're going to reconcile the checking accounts. It tells us when the last time it was reconciled, and it tells us what our beginning balance is. This beginning balance should match your statement that you have, your bank statement. If it doesn't, there'll be a note here that says, hey, you can't reconcile yet because something is off. And it will tell you exactly what is off, okay? Again, if you ever run into that issue and you have any questions or problems, feel free to reach out and we can help you with that. But we're gonna say this is a perfect world, so our balance is correct. We're gonna put our ending balance in that we would get off of our bank statement, okay? Our ending date, and we're going to reconcile. Okay, so QuickBooks will automatically check everything that came in from the bank feed. Okay, and so this is where you would want to make sure that everything that is being checked is accurate. Okay, if you click the circle above, it will check all of it. Okay, because if your difference is off, then you're going to want to go through and individually click off. Is it on your bank statement? Is it in QuickBooks? And you can find out where your difference is. Okay, so I'm going to click yes. I'm going to select them all, and then I'm going to deselect them. And that way, then I can start fresh, and I can go through and I can mark off each transaction. Okay, so you would go through and you would mark all the transactions that, is it in QuickBooks? Is it on your bank statement? Okay, it's as easy as that. Now your difference then would need to be 0 when you're all said and done. Okay, and so that means that all of your deposits are in, all of your expenses are in, and you match up with your account, your bank statement. So, okay, any questions on reconciling?
Hey, Marcy, I'll throw in the our question for the Jimmy John's gift card for $25.
Perfect.
And this is the question here. So what type of account is a loan? Is it an asset or liability? And if you want to type your answer in the chat box there. So again, what type of account is a loan? Is it an asset or a liability? We can come back to it if you need a few minutes, and you can, whoever gets it first types it in there, we'll just let you know, but you can go ahead, Marcy, and then as they want to answer it.
All right, so the last piece of today, we're going to go through reporting. So once you've put all your income and expenses in, you've reconciled your account, we can go and look at our reports. So over here on the left-hand side, you click on reports, okay? And it brings us to our report section here, okay? At the top is our favorites. The profit and loss and the balance sheet are the ones that you would typically see. It's because these are the two that make up your tax return. So when you go to get your taxes prepared and they ask you for your financials, they're asking for your profit and loss and your balance sheet, okay? If you want, say you like to see your accounts receivable, which means it's a report that shows you how much money is owed to you, we can come down and find it. And if you click the green star, then that means then it sticks it up here in your favorites. Okay, so that's kind of nice to have. If you go through and customize your reports, so let's look at our profit and loss. Okay, we can click choose our dates. So let's do this year to last month, and say we want to see each month side by side. Okay, we're gonna choose that, click run report, and it will display it so that you can see each month what your income and expenses were for each month. And then say, if you want to do some further customization, over here is the customize button, and it has lots of different options, okay? So once you have the report exactly how you want it, if this is a report that you're going to want to see every single month, then you're going to want to save it to your customized report, so that then you're not having to go in and click all the buttons again. It'll just automatically save for you, and all you have to do is change the dates. So we're going to click on save customization, and you have to rename it. So we're going to do profit and loss by month. Okay. Now you can share it with everybody, or you can just keep it for yourself. So if you have multiple users, this is where you would say all. If you don't want to share it, if you put nothing here, then you are the only one that will be able to see this report the way you have built it. Okay, so so I think Janet, you were asking about users and things like this. This is where you would choose whether you wanted them to see it or not.
So,
Okay.
so it's all or none, right? Is that correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, all or none. Now, if you have a user that doesn't have report access, then they're not going to be able to see it. Even if you put all users, it's only if they have report access.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we are going to go ahead and save that. Okay. Okay. So our profit and loss, okay, is a great report because it tells us how much income have we made for the year, okay? How much did it cost us? That's our cost of goods sold. How much did it cost us to make that income? And then after we've paid all of our expenses, how much income did we have, okay? And then this is usually the number that you get taxed on. That's your taxable income, okay? So that's what our profit and loss is for. It's a great picture as to how much is our business costing us and are we making any money? Okay, that's what this report is for. Now, go back to our report list. The other really important report is our balance sheet, okay? And what our balance sheet tells us is how much money do we have cash, okay? What's in our bank accounts and how much do we owe? So this is telling us we have $70,000 in our checking account as of November 30th. We have $35,000 in accounts receivable, which means that's what people owe us, okay? And then we have assets of $10,000. And then we owe 178. So this is our bills. This is where our bills come in, okay? That's what we owe. And then we also owe 9,000 on our credit card, okay? Has our loan amounts and then what our owner's equity is. And so the total then is what our net worth is. So if we were to get rid of the business today and sell our assets, pay off our loans, receive all the money that we're supposed to receive, pay all of our accounts payable, technically in a perfect world, then this would be what we would end up with. Okay, so those are the two important reports that kind of give us the health of our business. So any questions on either one of those? Okay, and then real quickly, the other fun thing is our performance center. So if you click on here, it kind of gives you a picture. Instead of all the numbers, it gives you pictures, actual charts and graphs. And so if you're kind of nerdy like me, these are kind of fun to look at. You can change the numbers or change the dates where these little 3 dots are. It allows you to edit it. Okay, and so you can edit dates and what you want in here. Okay, you can edit the name. You can put some different filters. So again, this is something that you can just play with when you have time. And then if you want to print it out, then you can export the chart and print it. So if you want to make a nice reporting to give to your banker or to an investor, you can print these off and make a nice little management report that has your financials and then some pictures that makes it look really neat. So, okay, any questions over any of this? Is there anything you have specifically? I know some of you weren't here last week. We have a couple minutes. I can go over anything that you feel like you're missing. I was going to show you users. Under the gear icon, manage users is where you would go to change that. Okay. And then here's where you would add. Okay, so you can add a user. And are they standard user or are they company admin? If you click standard user, then you can do reports only. And so that way they can only look at reports, or you can do time tracking. If you just want somebody to be able to put their time in here, you can do that. If you click standard, too many boxes open over here. Here you go. If you click standard and next, then it gives you the ability to limit what they can see and what they can't see. Okay, so like you can put limited and say they can only do transactions that have to do with customers, or and then it tells you what they can do and what they can't do. Okay, and so you can go through and limit what they do.
So you can unclick some of those things? Is that what
You
you're
can't
saying?
unclick any of these, they're set. So if you click customers and vendors, and it gives you some more options, but yeah, you can't really pick and choose. It tells you what they can and cannot.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
And we do have a winner there, Bethany answered, so we'll get that out to you, Bethany.
Good job. So loans are liabilities. Yep. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, if you come up with something later, feel free to email me or Pete and he'll pass it on. But thank you for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Janet, I'll get a hold of you and I'll connect you and Marcy.
Okay, could we wait till 1:30?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay,
that
that'd
work
be
for you,
great. I have
Marcy, or-
somebody,
Yeah.
Does
I
that
have
work for
somebody
you,
coming
Marcy?
for lunch at 1.
Okay. Marcy, does
Okay.
that work for this afternoon?
Yep, that's fine.
Janet, what I'll do is I'll
1:30 or
just give her,
2, whenever.
okay, I'll give her your contact information and then I'll let you two connect.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good day,
Thank
guys.
you, Marcy.
Yep.
Right. Thank you.